Hey, I know it's a little bit dark and you can't really see much and it's blurring in and out. And I've just cut across the field because I normally come down here at 9 o'clock because the days are getting a little bit longer. It's like bastard crufts, you know. Every single person has decided to come out and bring their dog out with them tonight. So we've gone a little bit off piste. I don't like not doing my circular. I don't know if it's a little bit of OCD or I've got no idea. But I like my little routines, you know. Yeah, I just thought I'd get my 10 pence worth in there for what it's worth on these outages. And I'm pretty sure most of you have kind of done your own sort of due diligence and research on the situation and come up with your own conclusions, because that's what we do. So we know that Portugal and Spain's sort of connected, that, you know, their grid is connected, and part of France. So we can remove the possibility of it being a solar flare. What an absolute insult to people's intelligence. But then there are people out there that were like, oh, I've never heard of one of them before. What's one of them, Frank? You know, the fucking tards out there. But we know that's just not, it's not possible. If there was a flare that was strong enough to wipe out their grid, it would have wiped out France's. We would have been affected, Germany would have been affected, and all of the other countries that are connected to Portugal and France and Spain, their grids would have been affected as well, you know. So it's absolutely 100% not a solar flare. It's certainly not got anything to do with the weather. However, they've been sort of gloating about the fact that they finally see another dog over there. No, the dog's everywhere. I feel like not actually moving off this field through fear of my two turning their dog into a dinner. So yeah, they were gloating about finally managing to pull off 100% of their electricity supply from renewables. So it is possible that there was some sort of overload, because you're not going to get enough electricity from solar, wind and, you know, tide power to power two major first world countries and part of another one. It's not possible. It's not possible. We don't get enough sun, for starters. Granted, they get a bit more sun than we do. But yeah, what an absolute load of bollocks. But that could have something to do with it. The fact that they've kind of clicked over onto 100% renewables, which I don't believe that either, because I don't think it's possible. So, and then they've gone down, oh, it's Russia, you know. Let's just blame fucking Russia for everything. You know, Russia is playing an integral part in all of this. So whether it was Russia or not, who knows? I doubt it. You know, this is all, in my opinion, connected to the WEF, you know, and their handlers. This is definitely a stunt that's been pulled to, you know, perhaps some sort of sick social experiment to see how people respond and how people react. You know, you take down a traffic light system, which does give order to the traffic systems. People stop when it's red, they go when it's green. You know, it works. So you take that away, and even worse, the worst thing of all, you take away cell phone coverage from these fucktards that are just so unbelievably addicted to their little Black Mirror devices. that they just fall apart at the seams. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And this is what we're up against. I had a conversation with one of our little tribe earlier on, and she did kind of make me cool down a little bit, I think, by saying that there are, you know, a lot of people over there that haven't got room to you know, space to grow any food, and they live on like the 20th floor of a block of flats, you know, apartments, because houses, aka villas, same thing over there, are just so ridiculously expensive. So with no electricity, then there's no elevator, and these little old deers can't go up and down 20 flights of stairs, you know. So my heart does go out to some people out there, but then there's part of me that's thinking, this will toughen you up, this will make you think. And yeah, people being able to, people not paying in cash, people not paying with cash, you know. So they're going into these shops, and just with cards or a little fucking chip in their hand, you know, or paying with the phone, which really does my head in. And they can't buy anything because they've not got any cash, you know. So for the vast majority, I'm just thinking, fuck them, you know. I'm running out of patience with these people on a rapid basis, to the point where I'm just focusing more and more and more on us and our community, you know, because as long as we keep it together, then we can assist other people to keep it together further down the line. So just focus on yourself. It's not a selfish thing, it's a self-full thing. So, you know, there are a lot of people out there that are just going to be filled with compassion and sympathy for these people, and I understand that, because I do have a degree of that, but it is running out. It is running out. You know, people should be thinking ahead. People should be just thinking, what if? You know, what if we run out of food? What if the water runs out? What if this? What if that? And they don't, because they've allowed themselves to be completely and utterly enslaved by the system. And this is the fucking price you pay for it, you know? So it's time for these people to start giving their heads a bit of a wobble, snapping out of this stupid fucking trance that they've been in all their lives, and join us, you know? Join real people with real brains that operate separate from other people's brains, separate from the system. You know, it's the only way forward. You know, it might not fix all problems, because I mean, if everyone went out now and decided to start prepping, it would be a right mess. It would be a mess. You know, there has been talk of them putting soldiers on the streets, and see if I can put the light on. Don't take anything for granted. So yeah, them getting the British Army on the streets of Birmingham to clear up the trash created by these third world fuckers. Mainly, like I've said before, and I'll never ever retract that. Right? You put people from a third world into a first world country, and it turns into an absolute shithole every time. If you can point out one single place in my beautiful, beautiful country that's not been affected by third world fuckwits, that's not turned into an absolute shithole? Name one. Name one. Right? So it's not coincidental. You know? It gets on my tits, and it's getting on my tits more and more and more and more. And, you know, we're only human. We're only human. We're going to feel emotions, especially when we start to hear about shit like this, because this is a pretty massive event, really. But it's also an extremely important and stark reminder of just how brittle society really is. You know, you take away the electricity, and we only need a genuine solar flare to wipe out an entire continent, and it will be absolute chaos. You know, it'll make what's happening over in you know, bearing in mind it's only a few hours old, what's happened in Spain and Portugal, relatively speaking, it's happened today, you know. So 2 days, it's going to get a bit rough. 3 days, a hell of a lot rougher. So if you're looking at a week to 10 days, which is what some people are saying, it's going to be catastrophic. And yeah, and that it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if all of this was deliberate. You know, you don't get a grid that big being that vulnerable in 2025. So yeah, to me it's highly suspicious, and I'm pretty sure that most of you guys have come to the same conclusion. And yeah, we saw this coming years ago. We just didn't know. We didn't know the details. We never know the details. We don't know where it's going to happen or the severity of it. A lot of this is guesswork, and a lot of it's common sense, which is we've got ample amounts of that stuff. You know, we've got enough to go around. We've got enough to share. You know, but the vast majority of these fucktards, you know, that we're surrounded by, have got little to zero, because they're slaves to the system. But I do think that big impacts on your life make you think, you know, this could wake a lot of people up, you know, so it could benefit us. And yeah, you know, I'm all about silver linings, and that's potentially one of many. People waking up and people realising what's happened, starting to ask why it's happened, who's responsible, because everyone wants someone to blame, you know, and they never ever, people seldom blame themselves, apart from real people, you know. If we're wrong, we take it, you know. If we're wrong, we admit it, we take it. But most people aren't like that. They're constantly on a search to blame someone else for their own shit, you know. Everyone's responsible for their own lives. Nobody else. So who knows? We don't know how this is going to turn out. Yeah, I think pretty much all of us are thinking, well, I'm glad it's not happened over here. And I'm one of them. But I think that's a yet thing, you know. But they don't want to become too suspicious. So they're not going to go and do that to Spain and Portugal and then get everything back, you know, in order, and then go and do it to another country, you know, because it would just be too predictable. People are looking for patterns. Humans still look for patterns. Well, most of us do, you know. So yeah, you know, it's a pretty bad thing, really, because I mean, this is going to affect a lot of businesses, and you know, anyone that was smart enough to be carrying cash around will have been able to buy goods. You know, they would have been able to buy food. Shelf-stable food will be fine, but there are, you know, butchers and supermarkets with chilled sections and stuff that'll only stay chilled and frozen for a certain length of time before it all spoils. You know, you're looking at billions of euros worth of food just gone. You know, ruined, chucked, unfit for human consumption, which means thousands and thousands of animals' lives that will have been slaughtered for no reason, you know, because no one's being fed by it. And virtually all of the tills in all of the shops are all electric, you know, but hopefully there'll be one or two people out there that can do basic maths, basic subtraction, and you know, if they've got a €20 note, they might be asked to buy something else to make it up to €20 because they can't get any change out, you know. So there'll be a lot of people out there that will be finding ways around it, and you know, because we're problem solvers. That's why we're at the top of the food chain. I know that's quite hard to believe sometimes when we look around and we talk to people. Did you watch EastEnders last night? You know, that sort of person. So this is two things written in very fast succession that could quite possibly wake up a lot of people. And the first one is the spraying of the skies, making that public. That opens doors for us to start dialogue with the sleepy people. And then these shortages, it might make people start to prepare, get a bit of extra water in, get some extra shelf-stable food in. You know, stuff like that. Just try and dig really, really, really deep to find that common sense that's buried deep within them. And yeah, apologies if I'm not showing that much compassion, but you know, there's been, over the years, there's been event after event after event after event. And the last 5-6 years was on steroids. So if they're still not coming around after that, then fuck them. That's the way I see it. And I know a lot of other people feel the same. You know, it is survival of the fittest, but it's a different type of fittest. It's all about the mind. And if these people aren't using their mind, then that's down to them. You know, we just need to keep doing what we do, and keep watching, keep paying attention. I'll speak to you soon. Much love, and ciao for now.